Hey wrestling fans, this is the King V, and this video is brought to you by Spike TV, the greatest channel around. And today's video is going to be about TNA wrestling. What do I think about TNA wrestling? What do they need to do to get better? And why I think TNA wrestling needs improvement. So it's no secret, especially a lot of people that have watched my videos in the past, and a lot of people who have followed me in the past. Uh, you guys already know that I'm a big WWE fan from way back in the day. I've been a WWE fan since, wow, since forever. In fact, back in the 90s, I had feuds at school with other kids because I was a WWF guy, Attitude Era guy, and a lot of kids at school loved WCW, and I detested WCW. Um, Back then, I wasn't really into the drama or the backstage stuff. I was more or less into the entertainment factor, and the WWF Attitude Era had that, and I never really thought that WCW did. So that's that's the biggest reason why I've stuck with the WWE. I've been a lifer for WWE, but I have watched TNA. So that all being said, like I mentioned yesterday and at the beginning of this video, this is going to be all about TNA. I'm going to really try not to talk any WWE in this video, which is really rare for me to do. So, first thing I want to talk about is the Aces and Eights storyline. Now, months ago when this storyline started, I hated it. I thought, you know, you're redoing the NWO again. You know, this this is just after Hulk Hogan started being a big influence in the back, and I thought another NWO ripoff storyline. I mean, we've already seen how many factions, since NWO and DX had their big runs. You had Evolution, which was pretty cool. The Legacy, Nexus, the Core, the list is long. Spirit Squad, and most of them didn't do very well. So I was really, really pissed off that once again they're going with a faction called Aces of Eights, and I really did not understand the name Aces and Eights. I'm sure no one else did, but after it all played out, I gotta give TNA or Impact Wrestling props on that. I really do. I gotta give them props. The way the storyline um, ended, well, it hasn't truly ended, but the way the mystique of the storyline ended was phenomenal. I mean, yes, I am against older superstars taking the spotlight. I always think that younger superstars deserve to be pushed a lot more than they are, no matter what promotion they work for. But but um, the fact of the matter is you see D'Lo Brown, which I wasn't able. I haven't seen him in years. You got the Dudley Boys. You got one of the Briscoe brothers. And it's just full of all these characters that you wouldn't think would mesh together, and they mesh together fine. In fact, I could totally and honestly, believably say that this whole Aces and Eights storyline was Bubba Ray, or sorry, Bully Ray's idea. I mean, there's no secret behind Bully Ray and his ingenious business sense. I mean, he was a key part of ECW, and he was an originator with the TLC matches. In fact, most of the best ideas from those matches were Bully Ray's. So the Aces in the Eight storyline, I said it before that I hated it. Now I don't hate it so much, and it's actually turned out to be pretty cool. Although everybody was hoping the president was Dixie Carter, but it ended up being Bully Ray. But either way, it would have been great. And that's the only good thing I can say about TNA. That's really the only good thing I can say about TNA. They dropped monthly pay-per-views to do 4 pay-per-views a year, which I think is a mistake. I said I wouldn't talk about WWE, and I'm not, but I'm going to mention that WWE has had that mistake too. When you have too much time between pay-per-views, the storylines can get stale because it can get repetitive. And I think that TNA's made a big mistake in putting 4 pay-per-views a year, because that's going to be 1 pay-per-view every 4 months, basically. With 1 pay-per-view every 4 months, that's going to give you like 3.5 months of nothing but storytelling, and that can get stale. And they started out great with the Aces and Eight storyline, but now it's starting to get to the point where that storyline is going to start to, go down. It's hit its peak. Now it's going to start going down. So they're going to have to figure out what to do next to continue this unique style of trying to stay out of doing monthly pay-per-views. So the next question is what do I not like about TNA right now? Here's what I don't like. First and foremost, Hulk Hogan gots to go. Dixie Carter needs to realize that Hulk Hogan does not know how to run a wrestling business. He doesn't. If he did, he would have started his own a long, long time ago. He would have started his own promotion, and it would still be around today. Second is Eric Bischoff. Okay, Eric Bischoff cannot handle money properly. That's probably why they brought Hogan in, but Hogan doesn't manage money properly either. So you got to figure that these two single-handedly took down a huge promotion like WCW. WCW's fall was their fault. The WCW's creation to its peak level was their fault as well, but the fall of WCW was also their fault. Continuing to run storylines off of older superstars and not pushing newer superstars ever is a mistake. Do you remember when Kurt Angle first came into the TNA locker room? Christian Cage as well. They both rose quick in TNA, but both of them did a very great job at flipping the script and putting other superstars who needed it over. For instance, Samoa Joe. The storyline between Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle in 2007, which led to every title being on the line, that was great. Samoa Joe became this believable ass kicker. He was able to keep up with Kurt Angle, which no one else could. The problem is since then, Samoa Joe hasn't been much of anything. And I think that proves that there's got to be a certain point as a wrestler on the roster where you got to make the move from TNA to WWE. Why? Well, TNA basically does not believe in their young talent. AJ Styles, for one. AJ Styles should be a TNA staple. He should be on the top of the roster. He should be their guy. He's been there for how long? He's won how many of their X Division championships? He's won how many of their TNA championships? Okay, when they have the belt around him with Ric Flair, that was great. I love that. But the last few years, they've been pushing that title onto superstars who are done. And I just think that it's to the point where if you're a younger superstar, you don't want to be in TNA. So TNA needs to push their younger talent, and they need to get rid of all their older talent. There's a reason why that those other talents don't work for the WWE anymore. So that's my aspect on that. Another thing that I think TNA really needs to work on is the way they portray their gimmick. Okay, I will not call TNA wrestling Impact Wrestling. I have a real problem with that. Okay, you have a single company called TNA. Okay, and then you have Impact Wrestling. Impact Zone was your show, but now you're going to repackage it and say that we are Impact Wrestling. Let me put it this way, okay? Say the WWE decided to say, you know what? Let's shove our big corporate logo that describes everything about our company. Let's shove it way over here, and we're going to rename our company SmackDown. We are SmackDown Wrestling. Would that make any sense whatsoever? Calling TNA Impact Wrestling and only Impact Wrestling, where we focus on the wrestling, that's a load of bullshit. TNA needs to go back to what they were doing when they were on ESPN or Fox Sports or whatever channel was carrying them back in 2005, 2006, I think it was. They need to go back to that. Now, they don't need the timers. They don't need timed matches, but they need to go back to where they were pushing their young talent, where they were pushing their brand name, TNA, and they need to quickly realize that yes, we don't. I've heard this a lot of times. Okay, we don't want to compete with the WWE. We want to be alongside the WWE. We want to grow our promotion alongside WWE and give someone options. I can respect that, but there's no way that people are gonna watch your product if you're going to push the same guys. You know, do I want to see Hulk Hogan every week on TV? Hell no. Do I want to see Sting on TV every week? Hell no. People are going to say, well, Sting's awesome. Listen, Sting has a good business sense. He didn't want to come to the WWE. He didn't want his character ruined like some of the other ex-WCW stars. But Sting needs to realize that his career has meant nothing because he's never competed in the big time. This is why a lot of fans have that dream match, Sting versus Undertaker, because they want to see, can Sting wrestle in the big time? And I'm not sure if he can. He spent so much time and energy in these smaller promotions and has not done anything to push younger talent. And that's the big focus, younger talent. Look at Robert Roode, for instance. He's had, in his whole time in the company, I believe he's had only one TNA championship run. And he's been in TNA since the beginning, pretty much. Come on, guys. You gotta realize, I don't have too much against TNA. Sometimes they do things right, but TNA needs to work on so many things, from the writer staff to the department heads. Everything back there needs to change. And bringing in Bischoff and Hogan was a horrible, horrible idea. In fact, I would much rather see Paul Heyman and Mick Foley running things in the backstage than those two. Those two, Bischoff and Hogan, they're all about themselves. That's all they think about is themselves. They don't care. Okay, as long as they're doing good enough to pay their paychecks and pay their bills, they don't care about the rest of the people. You know, Hall of Famer Bret Hart straight up in an interview not too long ago, straight up said AJ Styles needs to be in the WWE. If you look at the way the WWE is running right now, okay, two of their biggest superstars, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, both wrestled in Ring of Honor. These guys over in TNA that are ex Ring of Honor wrestlers, they need to realize that the WWE are taking that kind of talent now. And they're taking that kind of talent and they're expanding it. Okay, TNA is not doing that. I don't see TNA ever doing that. As long as they stick with Hogan, it's never gonna happen. TNA really needs to refocus their energy in repackaging their deal. First off, switching back to the square ring was a bad idea. A lot of people watched TNA for that luchador style ring that they had. Why? Because it was something different that us American audience people didn't see very much, you know. And then you had the 6 sides of steel, which was phenomenal. And then you had the X Division, the Ultimate X match, I think it's called. Okay, that match was built for that ring. Now you see it over a square ring and it just doesn't look as cool. Go back to where you were before. Go back to that. Go back to where I was sitting on TV at 2 o'clock in the morning watching a promotion for a TNA wrestling pay-per-view, and you've seen guys flying all over the place, guys getting hit by chairs. You saw guys flipping off of the 6 sides steel. You heard the crowd chanting TNA, TNA over and over again. You don't get much of that now. Why? Because TNA has lost what was making them successful in the first place and replaced it with things that only worked in the 80s. Now, as far as I know, Vince Russo doesn't work for TNA anymore. But the fact is they have to stop thinking linear and think outside the box. You know, they have been able in the past to poach great talent from the WWE, like Mr. Kennedy or Ken Anderson. Okay, so they can do that. They can get good talent. It's taking that talent and expanding that talent is what they have a problem with. You know, putting a title around Jeff Hardy, oh yeah, it's cool. Jeff Hardy deserves it. But at the same time, does that ensure your future? By putting the title around the waist of a guy who has about 3 years left. Maybe less. And that's what they keep doing. They keep putting their big title around these guys who are just so close to retirement. It would be like if Christian came back in the WWE and they said, well, just because the fan base loves this guy, we're going to slap the WWE title on him. It would make no sense whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, WWE makes mistakes, which will be my next video. I will be talking about um my goods and bads about WWE, but this is a TNA video, so I'm shooting on it and I'm getting this all out in the open because I am tired of people misinterpreting what I'm talking about when I talk about TNA needs work. They really do need work. They need work so much it's not even funny. And Dixie Carter meeting with Stephanie McMahon just before WrestleMania is a sign that Dixie Carter knows something needs to change. Now, that meeting might have only been about Rob Van Dam, but the simple fact of the matter is even though Rob Van Dam is going to be on the WWE roster, spoiler alert, Dixie Carter better have been sitting there listening for any kind of learning experience she could have gained from that meeting. Because I'm sorry, there's a reason why Stephanie McMahon is where she is right now and Shane McMahon isn't. She knows what she's doing. Okay? She basically runs everything other than around WrestleMania time. But for the most part, that's who is giving us the product that we watch. And yeah, it's good sometimes, it's bad sometimes, but you gotta watch this because if you're Dixie Carter, you're thinking, okay, if she's able to pull in this many billions of dollars a year, what do I have to do to do that? And hopefully this video is and really informative to you guys. And I hope I didn't skip anything. I'm pretty sure I got all the topics that I wanted to get out. But for the most part, TNA needs to do a lot of work, and the options they have are still there. They may be really faded, but they're still there. The first thing I would do if I bought TNA, like I said, is I would get rid of Hogan and Bischoff. I'd bring back the um, six-sided ring. I'd bring um, I'd bring in someone to make the arena look a little bit more grungier. Get rid of all the fancy flash screens, and I would just make it look like a place that is gonna spark the imagination. So that is the video for today. Comment, subscribe, like. You know where to find me. Like I said before, today's video is brought to you exclusively by Spike TV, best channel around. And then for my other fans over on Wrestling Hall of Fans, I will be doing the next Powerful 8 soon, and that will be an exclusive Wrestling Hall of Fans event. But until then, I am the King V, and well, how should I end this? Fuck it. I don't need an ending. I'm just that legit. Peace.